Before the arrival of Christopher Columbus in the late 15th century, the vast land we now know as America was home to a diverse range of indigenous peoples. These Native American tribes had inhabited the continent for thousands of years, each with their own distinct cultures, languages, and traditions. When Columbus reached the shores of the Americas in 1492, he encountered a world that was entirely new to him and his European contemporaries. The native population of the Americas was estimated to be around 50 million people at the time, spread across different regions of the continent. In North America, tribes such as the Apache, Cherokee, Iroquois, Sioux, and Navajo lived in varied environments ranging from the arid deserts of the Southwest to the lush forests of the Northeast. They adapted their lifestyles to their surroundings, relying on hunting, fishing, farming, and gathering for survival. In Central America, civilizations such as the Maya, Aztec, Olmec, and Toltec flourished. These sophisticated agrarian societies built impressive cities, developed advanced agricultural techniques, and engaged in trade and cultural exchange. They had well-established political systems, organized religions, and advanced knowledge in astronomy, mathematics, and art. In South America, the Inca civilization dominated the Andean region, spanning across modern-day Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia, and parts of Colombia and Chile. The Inca Empire was known for its monumental architecture, intricate road networks, and efficient agricultural systems, including the famous terraced fields on the steep slopes of the mountains. For centuries before Columbus, these indigenous peoples had cultivated their lands, formed complex social structures, and developed their own unique cultural identities. They had rich oral traditions, passed down from generation to generation, telling stories of their origins, legends, and histories. However, the arrival of Europeans would soon bring significant changes to this established way of life. With Columbus's voyages, the era of European colonialism in the Americas began. Explorers, traders, and conquistadors arrived, seeking wealth, land, and power. Spanish, English, French, and Dutch expeditions made their way to the New World, establishing colonies and engaging in trade with the native inhabitants. Unfortunately, this contact between the two worlds also brought devastating consequences for the indigenous peoples. The arrival of Europeans introduced new diseases, to which Native Americans had no immunity. Diseases like smallpox, measles, and influenza wreaked havoc on the native populations, causing widespread illness and death. It is estimated that diseases alone decimated up to 90% of the indigenous population in some regions. The Europeans also imposed their beliefs, laws, and economic systems onto the indigenous societies. Native Americans were often forced to convert to Christianity, their ancestral lands were taken, and they were subjected to forced labor and exploitation. As European colonies expanded, conflicts between settlers and indigenous peoples escalated. Wars and violence erupted as settlers pushed further westward, encroaching on Native American territories. The forced relocation of native populations, such as the Trail of Tears for the Cherokee, resulted in the displacement and loss of ancestral lands for many tribes. Over time, the establishment of the United States of America and the policies of westward expansion further displaced and marginalized Native Americans. The U.S. government initiated policies that aimed to assimilate tribes into American culture and strip them of their traditional ways of life. Native American children were forcibly taken from their families and sent to boarding schools, where their cultural heritage was suppressed. However, it is crucial to acknowledge that Native American tribes have shown resilience and continue to maintain their cultural identities. In recent years, there has been a growing recognition of the importance of indigenous culture, language revitalization, and efforts to promote tribal sovereignty. Despite these positive steps, challenges remain. Native American communities still face social, economic, and health disparities resulting from centuries of marginalization. The process of reclaiming ancestral lands and addressing historical injustices is an ongoing struggle. In conclusion, America before Columbus was a land inhabited by diverse indigenous peoples, each with their own rich cultural traditions. However, the arrival of Europeans brought immense changes and devastating consequences to the native inhabitants. Over the centuries, indigenous populations faced displacement, disease, assimilation efforts, and loss of ancestral lands. Yet today, there is a growing recognition of the importance of indigenous cultures and efforts towards reconciliation and justice.